Like a kung fu maniac drunk on the blood of 1,000 victims, we are Blenderstyle. And on this episode, Powerman 5000. Mega Kung Fu Radio. This album was released in 1997. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers, dudes.
So this is my pick. I discovered Powerman 5000. One of my buddies, I don't remember who it was, brought an Ozzfest 96 VHS to my house. And, oh yeah, that was you.
Oh, it was.
I like how you're like, oh, who was this?
I was genuinely confused.
That's like I had that too.
Yeah, so you brought the tape over, and we watched it. I think
that's right.
You brought it over because
I forgot about that, dude.
Of Sepultura. You bought the tape for Sepultura.
That's awesome.
Okay,
where'd you buy it?
Oh my God. It might have been either in like San Diego when I was visiting or like Sam Goody's on Ming Avenue or whatever the
something.
fuck. Blockbuster on Ming Avenue.
Blockbuster Music or whatever.
Or Sam Goody in the mall also on Ming Avenue.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
That was like the only music places I kind of knew about.
So you would come from Taft to Bakersfield to get music.
Yeah, you had to.
Oh yeah, there was no.
Isn't this?
Because you could go to Kmart in Taft.
I don't think Kmart was around then yet. They didn't even build it.
It just goes to show, like, if you're looking for it, you're gonna find it.
Oh yeah.
I remember having to skate across town and.
Oh, I have several stories of being at Blockbuster and like discovering like albums and just like have a lot of several from the 90s.
I have a lot of those stories for Tower Records in LA.
And we bought a bunch of CDs down in San Diego.
Yep, we did.
There was a place out there in Tehachapi called Toontown. And, you know, if you talk to locals, you know, probably mixed reviews. But I lived, you know, a couple miles away from it off a dirt road or whatever. And I used to have to walk, get on a road, skate to it. And it was just like a small town, you know, CD shop. Mm-hmm. And this person would get used stuff and everything, and they would call me. And I was a kid, and I would go and I'd skateboard over there and go get that shit, you know what I mean? So that's why I wanted to ask, because Tehachapi is a small town and everything. And you went through whatever you needed to do to get to Bakersfield or somewhere else to find music. And that's so awesome. And I'm sorry that I interrupted the...
No, it's a good... Because this is like a journey for a lot of people, right? Is where they find...
And this is nostalgia for you guys, right?
Oh,
this record...
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so this that tape like had so many...
Yeah,
is that the one with Coal Chamber on it?
So it had like one song from every band that played in Ozzfest 96, I think it was.
Right.
Yeah, 96.
I've tried finding
so there was
that.
like Fear Factory, Sepultura,
Oh, yeah, Fear
Slayer,
Factory did Replica.
Slayer.
And Sepultura did... what's the song? They had
Attitude.
Yeah, Attitude, and he had like that one instrument.
There was like Biohazard and Neurosis.
Looks like a bow and arrow, and he's
Neurosis too.
Yeah,
that's a
Biohazard, dude.
Biohazard was on the Neurosis one, and then Coal Chamber.
Did you guys watch Biohazard?
Oh yeah, well because there was one.
Oh, it was on the compilation.
Yeah.
So
on this VHS cassette, which I have no clue.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to it. But
and Powerman 5000.
Powerman 5000 was on the second stage, with Coal Chamber.
What song was it? Neckbone.
Yep, Neckbone. And
from this album.
From this album, and then Cellophane. I don't know if you remember that one.
No, I don't.
Oh, dude, that song, I still can't find an album from those guys, and I've been looking ever since that.
Oh, that song? You can't find that.
No, there's
song?
a band the band was called Cellophane, and they did a song called Ride Thy Neighbor, I think it was.
Wow.
And it was a horrible song at the time. But I want to find it to find out if it was as bad as I remember, if it was just
funny. I have a bunch of compilations that you go back to it and you're like, that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's how you found music.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, the compilations were the greatest. So and then you bought this CD, Mega Kung Fu Radio.
Yeah, it wasn't, I think it might have been a year later after you brought it over. It might have been that year, because like we would do the BMG thing.
Yes.
You know, 12 CDs for $1 or 12 CDs for a penny or whatever.
This, yeah.
So you sign up and then you get the CDs or whatever, and then they're like, oh, now you just got to buy like 8 more within the next 5 years or some crap.
And then you bought the CD Powerman 5000 Mega.
Yeah, so I bought Mega Kung Fu Radio.
So I was going to ask, this is the first record, but just renamed, right, or something.
This is their second album renamed. So they did.
Isn't it? I thought it for some reason.
They had like a
I wanted to
demo
ask
or-
about this.
Yeah, so they had like a demo or something. I forget what it was called. And then they did the Blood-Spat rating system, which
In 95.
yeah, in like 95 or something, which became they got voted best album in Boston or wherever they're from.
Boston, yep.
And then I think it was
They
DreamWorks. DreamWorks picked them up and just kind of re-released
This man was like playing with my Boston's.
maybe. And so DreamWorks picked them up and re-released it with a couple extra tracks on it. Like I don't think Neckbone was on the Blood-Spat rating system.
Correct,
I think
yeah.
they added like 2 or 3 tracks to it.
2 tracks, and then they mass produced it, so that's
Yeah.
how it got in the Kmart in Taft.
Yeah, pretty much. But this was such a different sound of anything that was going on at the time. I mean, there was like, what was this, 97? So ska was a big thing back then. And this was a weird mixture between ska and metal and funk and
It's totally
pop.
not how I pictured Powerman 5000 though, because I didn't hear this like so.
Okay, so
you
you
know what
heard
I mean?
you heard like the later.
So I heard it
yeah.
when you got it, and I've
Uh-huh.
been familiar with this for. When did you hear Power Man 5000? Probably when everyone,
when worlds collide or
Yeah.
whatever. You know?
the
and
Tonight
even
the
that
Stars Revolt or whatever.
Yeah.
most people, that's where they got in, I think.
So when you picked this album, it was literally the first time I ever listened to this
Okay.
album.
Oh no,
And it
shit.
definitely gave me that vibe of like my shirt's off and I probably got pierced nipples. And that's
And like the star around the belly
yeah,
button
like they
tattoo.
went on tour with Snot and like, which is
Yeah,
Snot's but you get what I mean. That's that same vibe. Like even like Sublime was around at that time.
This
Oh,
is
yeah.
kind of like Snot, I guess.
Yeah,
for sure, it has
it's kinda
that
weird
backbeat.
It's that weird blending of like all the different cool styles at the time.
Like funk and
Yeah,
like, yeah, it was like
and
chill.
really trying to kind of find its
They
groove.
were like trying to throw the hip hop into it.
Yeah.
Like
But
he's
his-
trying to rap.
His vocal ranges from like rap to like new metal screams seamlessly.
Oh, for sure.
It's weird how he's able to kind of transition
and
between
he doesn't sing at all. I mean, let's not get that wrong. He
doesn't
He
sing.
pulls the cake thing and he talks
It's
and
like
yells
yeah.
and raps and
It's
rolls
not
and
monotone
grooves.
though.
No, it's not. Yeah,
He has range with
He does
him,
have range.
but his delivery is like
for sure. But yeah, like I said, this was just so different at the time that it kind of caught my attention, and it's a fun album to listen to. I mean,
so much.
it was when this album came out, or when I got this album and really got into it, and then Tonight the Stars Revolt came out, I was like, oh, this is going to be great, and I bought it and I was disappointed.
So you're the exact opposite of me.
Yeah. I mean, it was still a good album.
Uh-huh.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It just wasn't what I was expecting. Like, I was really hoping for more of this. They made a really big push during this, and I think they actually say it in one of the songs. They were really pushing for their genre of music to be called action. Like, they wanted a special spot in the CD stores filed under action.
It's like your funk new metal, bro.
Yeah, but that was the thing. They like everything back then was trying to be this new.
They
like,
went on
'cause-
tour with Sugar Ray.
Well, because I think grunge had just done their thing,
I'm just saying
yeah,
that this is the,
no, I get
the
it.
era of
But grunge had just done their thing and had this new classification, so everybody wanted to be classified as something new. New metal was making a big emergence, and they were getting their own classification of metal. And they're like, well, we want to be filed under action. We want to be action. We're action music, which it fits. It's fun. It's active. It's all over the place.
There's like turntables and percussion going on.
Oh yeah, and that's the cool thing about it. It's like even with all the different stuff going on, everything has time to shine. Like there's parts like where the breakdowns, where the percussionist, not the drummer, but the percussionist or the guy on the turntables plays the bells or whatever, and you could hear him come through really well, and like everything quiets down. Gives
That's
it
a
chance
good
to shine through.
observation. Like everyone does
The
get their chance.
bongos get their playthrough, and like it's really cool. It's like everything has a chance to shine and step forward, and nothing muddies anything else out. I would say that it probably could do with a second guitar player,
oh for sure.
but for the most part, the distortion on the guitar for the type of music they're playing is heavier than it should be, probably. And I think, kind of to touch on what you said, Spiders yelling or screaming is not the kind of screaming you'd hear on the more mellow kind of sound that they are.
No, it's like it would be like hearing like In Living Color with like Jonathan Davis screaming on
Yeah,
it.
for
It
sure.
doesn't make sense, but in this, and he does it
That
seamless.
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't,
No,
but,
you know what I mean?
but would work.
His vocals are great, and I love his delivery. All of his weird lyrics.
Oh yeah.
This guy's really creative on
Well,
this.
him and his brother both. They're really into that like whole comic book.
Rob Zombie.
Yeah, that comic book genre of
I think the drums sound really good.
for sure.
Like the percussion parts, like you guys said, and everything.
That was kind of this. That became the standard in like the mid to late '90s to have really tight drumming. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? David Silveria was doing it. Coal Chamber was doing it with their drums. You know, that really like tight ghost noting on the snares.
And I do like that they, mix the funk, the rock, and the rap and stuff. So I guess I'm kind of like on the opposite side of the table with you guys. Mm-hmm. To me, this sounds really flat. I feel like the guitar player probably falls asleep when he plays live. There's nothing very interesting going on here. And I'm kind of bored at times. So, like...
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think this is a banger progression. I feel like...
I think also the rapping delivery is very, very weak. When he raps, he's literally repeating himself. He's not, you know what I mean? And I think it's kind of something that they were trying to hop on, and it was a gimmick, and it comes off very flat for me.
Oh.
I think I listened to this album over and over, and I think what plays into it, like I was saying earlier just in conversation, is nostalgia. This is something nostalgic for you guys. It was something new for you and everything. To me, listening to it at 36 years old, this is boring.
I think
it's just very boring to me. And local band playing down at the bar. This is what this sounds like to me.
I could kind of see where you're coming from, because I don't think it holds up compared to where this kind of style has gone.
All the other bands that I mentioned during the conversation are better.
Well, but that's what I'm saying.
album,
At the time, I don't think there was a lot of people doing this. Mm-hmm. So I think this was like you were saying, like a big progression for the scene or the style at the time.
Dude, they could have went on fucking tour with No Doubt, No Tragic Kingdom playing this shit.
They probably would have fit in with it.
No, I gotta disagree. I think the first half of this album is fucking phenomenal.
Dude, the first song is good.
I think the first song's good. The second song's better. The first song's great because you listen to it. If you don't know what this is, you don't know what you're getting into.
Exactly.
And that's why I was so pumped when I first heard it. Like, literally, I was pumped.
Right.
And, like, I got, like, 3 songs in, and it was literally... This all sounds the same to me, too. Mm-hmm. It's very like... I'm sorry, guys. I don't even mean to shit on it, but I was listening to it.
It's interesting.
I really listened to this a lot of times. And just when I think I'm kind of liking it, it just falters for me. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to it with my wife, and even she mentioned something. Like, I'm not even talking about it or saying that I'm like reviewing this album. She's like, what do you listen to? And she's like, this is just boring. And I was like, I know. I can't even get through it.
I think the second half gets a little boring, especially around like Bored With Ya, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they start putting like these interludes and really long intros and stuff there, and that kind of makes the whole album kind of slow down. It drops pace. On Stand-In 8, there's that really long intro.
Yeah. Some of it just feels unnecessary.
Slows the whole pace of the album, and it's cool. I mean, at the time, putting samples and stuff at the intros for all your stuff was a cool thing. But today it doesn't hold up, and now it just kind of slows the flow of the whole record.
I agree.
This doesn't even get fast. Not one time does this album
gets heavy,
really
but not fast.
Yeah, it's mediocre heavy for me, man. I'm so sorry. That's why I give it a 1.5.
Wow.
I think this is not even B-rated stuff for me, man.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry.
No, don't be sorry, dude. It's weird because, like you said, like you came into them during Tonight the Stars Revolt. Did you think that was a decent album? I mean,
dude, it blows this one out of the water. Yeah. It almost makes this one look like a 5.0.
Okay.
This, I am just not into it, man. I'm
See,
so
that's
sorry,
crazy.
man.
I give this a 4.5. I think this is especially the first like 3 to 5 tracks are phenomenal. I love this like groovy sound that they have. It's like got a cool vibe to it, and I think the Stars Revolt. I went back and listened to it, and it sucks. That one's boring. I would give that a 1.5, which is fascinating.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's just not that. It's just maybe
I wonder
not
if
my
it's
thing.
because of how we got introduced to the band. Like
No,
you heard
this
that one
is-
first, and I heard this one
Well, I
first.
think
It's
like,
not that big of a like. I'm not judging it off that record. I'm just saying that the other record at least got me a little like pumped.
well, and I
Interesting.
think I understand
This
what
one literally sounds like he ate a bunch of like opiates, like had a bunch of pills. Was like, oh, Mrs. Dumb, blah, blah, blah. What the hell?
Did you watch any of the video? He kind of looks like that,
Dude,
too.
I did not. I did not look up any video of this.
So I kind of think like what Nate's coming from is the same thing. It's like, so there's this nostalgia thing playing on it because, you know, this was something we grew up with or whatever. But I also feel like if you were into the music at the time, this was something that was special. Like, you didn't hear a lot of stuff like it. Going back now, you could sit there and say, oh yeah, they could have played with No Doubt and stuff. But I think when this was coming out, those weren't on my musical radar. I didn't listen to that kind of music and stuff. So this was new, and this was
like the only thing you heard that sounded like that.
Yeah, to me. So it was different. It was crazy. And even then, I don't think, to me, No Doubt and those kind of bands don't really compare. I mean, they're similar in like their poppiness.
It's just dated. Like you,
It is.
like you can
It's very
place it.
dated.
You know, it's definitely like if I just heard this, I'd be like, this is late '90s, early 2000s.
But
Fair.
But to put on that, I give this 4.7.
Yeah.
I think it's a great album.
That's
This
near
was-
perfect.
When this thing came out, or when I first heard this was like one of those lightning moments in music because it instantly expanded my musical horizon of, oh, there's different styles other than just metal that incorporate metal. And it was crazy. Like, to me, I'd never thought of putting
totally.
like rap with metal. That's just weird.
And this blends it well.
And it does. And that there's this transition from the more mellow stuff to the, you know, it's white boy rap. It's not anything that you're gonna win an award for rapping. It's cookie cutter as hell.
And then,
But
I just pick it. Like when I said that, like I compared it to the other album, I compared it to like what they were wearing. Like in this, he was wearing a white beater with a pierced eyebrow and long tube socks with fucking Chuck Taylors. And then in the other one, he's wearing some fucking weird ass, spaceman suit with spiky
Oh my god, I
colored
hated
hair.
the spaceman shit, dude.
And see, and that's my thing.
It's
So
all a gimmick. It's
I was really into this. Tonight,
kind of
it's a
is.
fucking gimmick.
Tonight the Stars Revolt
That's why
came
these
out.
bands didn't stick around.
I got disappointed, and then I think what was the one after that? Anyone for Doomsday or something?
No one knows.
I don't know.
Actually,
Honestly,
no
to
one
tell
really
you the
knows.
truth, I heard a song or single that was like maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, and
Yeah.
it was fucking good. I was like, wow, this is Powerman.
and that's what I was gonna
5000.
say. So like this was to me, this was their best. And then Tonight the Stars Revolt, it was decent. I never really I got into that more than I got into the next one, and then after that I fell off the bandwagon. They went real poppy, they went real weird, and then I think maybe a year or two ago I heard a single that came out, and I was like, oh wow, they got decent again.
Well, it got almost like electronic,
Yeah.
like electronic music or whatever. It almost sounded like a Depeche Mode or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like what we talked about on a few episodes back about bands reinventing themselves with every single album. You can't maintain your fandom.
You know what's weird to me about this is like we can be at a party, and if one of these songs, like if fucking Organizized come on, I'm gonna be pumped, and you're gonna be like, "This is boring."
Oh, definitely.
That's weird to me.
That is kind of weird.
It's weird.
The
to me.
bass playing alone is just like gets me going, dude.
That's so yeah.
That sick bass line in those.
Okay, so the drummer literally plays the same drum beat the whole time. The guitar player literally is falling asleep because he's like,
Okay,
he's not riffing.
I don't disagree.
There's literally
No.
like 2 parts where he does solos, and they're like, you know,
This is a total precursor for new
Like, he
metal
got
guitar
stoned
style.
and was like, let
this
me-
is just open chord,
Yeah.
strum,
Yeah,
let
exactly.
it ring,
Minimalist.
strum, let it ring, strum, let
Sounds.
it ring.
Saint Anger is better than this.
Don't you ever say that.
Definitely.
Blenderstyle never says Saint Anger's better than anything.
We'll have to cover that album.
Saint Anger is definitely better than this whole album.
I'd rather listen to Chinese Democracy.
Are you saying this album is in the trash can that Lars is playing on?
Yeah, exactly. He's my neck bone, my neck bone. Like literally, I don't mean to say this again, but there was another album where like I talked about how somebody was like talking about all the parts of their body. Like he's talking about every part of his body. He's like, my neck bone and your arms and your legs. That's 2 different songs that I just mentioned. It said 4 words. It's a 1.5.
I think you're
boys.
confusing them.
Wake up, little snoozy.
All right. This is Blenderstyle. That was Powerman 5000. Mega Kung Fu Radio.
This is zombie karaoke, ladies and gentlemen.